you shall learn. I regained consciousness and opened my eyes, but it was pitch black and I could not see a damn thing. I tried to sit up, but my whole body was racked with pain. Metal bracelets bit into my wrist. Boy, I tell you what, my head felt like God was applauding in a very small room. I lay there panic-stricken. I mean, what the hell, man? Where was I? And why was I shackled up like that? I stopped struggling when I heard the sound of voices coming towards me. I tensed my body up, anticipating getting my ass beat up. I felt someone's breath tickle my face. Whoever it was smelled real sweet, like cinnamon or something. The dark form reached down and lifted my head up and struggled with something underneath it. Man, I tell you, I did not move a damn muscle. My eyes closed real tight. Then it was quiet for so. Suddenly, the person rested my head back down and I opened my eyes just before a white dress blended into the shadows. I waited for a moment to make sure they were gone, then slowly opened my eyes. My whole body jerked when I realized they had returned and were standing above me. I mean, damn, what was it they wanted from me? Suddenly, a torch lit up just above my face, the yellow light blinding me. I struggled to get used to the glare, and when I did, there was a beautiful young woman looking down at me. She smiled and nodded her head. I looked past she and saw another young woman right behind she. I tensed up for a second, and then began shaking uncontrollably. The antidote! The antidote! Shouted the beautiful young woman, and the other form disappeared for a second, then reappeared with a calabash bowl in she hand. I tried to get up, but the young woman grabbed hold of my head and poured a thick, bitter liquid into my mouth, and I swallowed and laid there. The spasms were gone, replaced by a death-like calm. Then slowly, a cold, tingling sensation gripped my groin, and I found myself becoming aroused. I saw a smile on the young woman's face as she turned and looked at her companion. After a couple of minutes, I was breathing real slow. I mean, every time I inhaled, my skin felt like I was submerged in a warm mud pit. I looked up at the women. They did not say a damn thing, and the smiles on their faces looked like they were painted on or something. I looked at the young woman who spoke earlier. Her hair was short, but not so short she could not style it. Her green eyes were a direct contrast to her ebony skin. I mean, she had the classic look of a Creole woman. Her skin looked soft and smooth, and despite myself, I wanted to reach out and touch her. I forced myself to close my eyes, and the tingling feeling began to fade away. But my heart was beating so hard I could hear it pounding against my chest. Her fake smile was embedded on my bloody mind, and I felt a surge of emotion run through me. I mean, I wanted to reach up and pull she towards me, running my fingers through she hair. I sat up, shook my head, and looked in she direction, but they were both gone, leaving me to my thoughts. Damn, man, what the hell was going on here? I laid my head down and looked up. There was a hole above me, and the moon was shining on me like I was a stage performer with a spotlight on me. I sat up and was surprised that the restraints were gone. I looked down at my makeshift bed. It was a slab of rock that stood 10 feet high and was about 7 feet wide and 8 feet long. There was a lit torch on the far side of the space. It flickered as a cool breeze whirled around me. I got off the rock and stumbled around, bumping into the poles that held the torches. I walked about 10 yards to the lit torch and took it out of its metal holder. I scanned my surroundings. The slab of rock was standing in the middle of what seemed to be a cave shaped like an upside-down cone. I stepped further away from the rock, small balls of fire falling from the torch as the wind grew stronger. I stopped and looked at the slab of rock. It looked like some kind of altar or something. I mean, what the hell was that for? I shook my head and kept walking. I had to find a bloody way out, and fast. My feet sank in sand as I walked, and I bumped into the wall of the cave and began to aimlessly walk around it. The walls were jagged, and my arms occasionally bumped into rocks sticking out of it. In some places, there were holes with water flowing out and into a natural drain that circled the base of the cave. I looked over at the darkest side of the cave. An eerie feeling came over me as I walked to that area. I mean, my heart was racing. Hell, this could be a possible route of escape. The darkness engulfed me. I mean, not even the light from the torch was able to fully light up the area. I stopped, holding the torch above my head. The air around was like an invincible wall closing in on me, stifling me. My breath came in painful bursts, my dry throat burning, and I felt all the energy draining out of me as I was overcome with fear. A voice came out of the darkness, causing me to drop the torch, its light blazing a little. I stumbled back as someone reached out and pushed me. "Are you hungry, mister?" I did not answer. I mean, what the hell? Hunger was the last thing on my mind right then. The shadow stepped into the light. I mean, the damn girl was no more than 15 years old. Am I being held captive by a bloody child? She reached down and picked up the torch in one hand, holding a tray in the other. I instinctively reached out to take it from her, but she stepped round me, casting a cold glance. She walked up to the altar and laid the tray down. She too had that slight limp when she walked. She had to be one of them. "You will eat now," she commanded, as the patterned smile replaced the vicious little glare. I mean, what did I do to she for she to hate me so much? I hesitantly walked over to she, keeping my eye on she, and glanced down at the food. There was enough to feed 3 damn people. The aroma from the different foods spilled into the damp, stagnant air. My eyes focused on the oil dung. All that vegetable cooked in coconut milk. The steam from it lingered under my nose and my stomach rumbled a little. Despite myself, I was real freaking hungry. I closed my eyes, inhaling the smell of the tanya, dasheen, and green bananas, enhanced by the spices, and to top it off, lambi meat. It was as if they had done their homework about what type of food I like. I picked up the drink. Ice cubes clinged against the glass. I tentatively took a sip of the cold liquid, causing a chill to run through me. It was Marby, one of the drinks on the island known as an aphrodisiac. I sat on the altar looking at the food. It reminded me of Saturdays when I was a child and my mother would cook up a feast for us children in the village. She used to hum her favorite calypso as she danced around the kitchen, filling pots, emptying bowls. The woman was the best cook on the island. A dull pain ran through me as I thought about my mother, and I looked around, desperately trying to find a place where I could escape. Finally, my eyes rested on the place from where the girl had come. I was sure that place was the only way out, and I wanted to run for it, but stopped myself. I mean, I had to do some real planning before I could escape. I looked up at the opening of the cave. The early morning sun was causing shadows to form on the walls of the cave. For a moment, I contemplated the idea that I could climb my way out, but the ceiling was too high, and a climb like that would be suicidal. I looked over at the dark side of the cave again. I wondered if they had a guard standing there. "Are you going to eat?" asked the girl. Damn, I had forgotten she was there and was startled when she spoke. She was sitting on a chair that she must have gotten when I was not looking. She white dress covered she small frame as she sat like a little society girl, she fingers entangled, resting on she lap and she legs crossed. I had never seen anyone's back so straight except when I went with my mother to government functions and those society girls glided around in their evening gowns. She was motionless, the painted-on smile stagnant as she waited for me to answer. I took a big swig of the Marby, its bitter taste lingering in my mouth after I swallowed. I looked down at she. She was still sitting in the same bloody position. "Why am I here?" I asked. She seemed pleased that I had spoken to she. "You will find out soon enough," she said, then got up and walked away, taking the chair with she. I was alone again, alone in that bloody hole to think of what my fate was going to be. I looked up at the top of the cave. The sun was fast coming up and the cave was beginning to reveal more of itself. I finished eating and lay on my back. The light blue sky was inducing a revolution on the remnants of the night. I must have fallen asleep because when I opened my eyes, the torches were lit up in a perfect circle around the cave. Yellow and red glows cast long shadows on the walls that scurried back and forth when the torches' light flickered in the breeze. I sat up. My damn back ached from lying on the altar so long. I looked round. There was no one else in the cave with me, so I stood up and stretched, trying to get some of the kinks out of my joints. I took one last look round, making sure there was no one else in the cave, then slowly walked to the area where I saw the girl came in. I mean, this could be a perfect chance for me to try a thing and escape. I walked to the entrance, taking one step at a time, cautiously looking around. My heart racing as the veins in my neck throbbed and emotions rushed through me in a surge of hot and cold flashes. I walked behind the light of the torches. It was so dark I could not even see the palm of my hands. I groped in the dark, making sure I would not bump into anything. After about 3 minutes, I saw a light ahead of me and walked towards it. The shadows created by the flickering light moved on the wall as if they were doing a ritualistic dance. Sometimes, when the light moved, it looked as if someone was laying in wait to jump on me. So I stopped and peered into the dim lit passageway. In that one friggin' moment of hesitation, I felt something crash into my back and I fell forward, smashing my face into the dirt. I tried to lift myself up, but someone was sitting on my bloody back. I struggled to breathe as sand filled my mouth. I tell you what, all that coarse sand stuck at the back of my throat felt like I had swallowed a mouthful of broken glass. I lay there in a semi-conscious state. A fury of fists was pounding at the back of my head. Suddenly, the weight was lifted off me, and I saw she white dress as I was dragged across the sand. Small seashells dug into my chest, but I barely felt the pain as I slipped into unconsciousness. I woke up with a start, but soon settled down as a sharp pain resonated on the back of my head, so I closed my eyes and shook my head, hoping to alleviate some of the pain. When the pain subsided, I slowly opened my eyes and my vision was blurry, but soon my sight became more focused. The beautiful woman from yesterday was standing over me, not smiling. This time, there was just the look of a wife about to chastise her husband. "We tried to be nice to you, but just like the rest of them, you had to be disrespectful." Her voice was stern and she spoke with a slight British accent. "You have angered the women in our little community, and now you must face the consequences." At first I was afraid, but that was soon replaced by anger. "Be nice to me?" I screamed. "You people, or whatever you are, kidnapped me, dragged me here, and want to be respected? What in the hell do you want from me?" I shouted. "No!" she screamed back, her voice changing in a high-pitched squeal. "What do you want?" I was surprised by her reply. Stupid cow forced me here and was trying to make me feel guilty for not respecting them. "I want you to let me go," I shouted back at she. She leaned over, her face contorted with anger. "Selfish, selfish," she screamed. "Do you think it is fun for us to live in this limbo, this uncertain purgatory, where the living is afraid of the dead and the dead scorning you for wanting to control your own destiny?" She walked around the altar, her eyes ablaze with anger. In their own way, all these women are beautiful. But while alive, they did not have the chance to lay with anyone. So when they arrived at the threshold of light, I was there, waiting for them. Told them about Elizu Frida, the goddess who demanded respect of everyone. She who hates the bourgeois and their greed and the disdain of the common people. I told them about how she seduced people with her charm and how they flocked to bring her gifts. They too wanted to be like her, get the respect in the afterlife they did not get when they were walking among you, unforgiving living. So this is where we are, closer to the Larilokan, the place where the gods live under the sea. She stopped talking but kept walking around the rock. I wanted to scream at the witch, tell she how what she was saying made no damn sense, but I didn't want to make she more vexed. After all, I was laying there, shackled to a bloody rock. There was a time in the past it was easy to find men for these women to lay with, but some of the gods, those male pigs, they grew jealous because they wanted to deflower these women themselves. So they cursed us with these goat legs, trying to make us undesirable to mortal man. Still, we were able to find those who were so obsessed with sex they would sleep with anyone. But the new religions came with their rules and restrictions, and the men who once were great warriors fell for their lies, and now we are left to take what is rightfully ours by force. That's why you are here. With your colonialist education, your Catholic upbringing, and your high and mighty social lifestyle. Yes, we have been watching you for a long time, and you should have listened to Johnny and believed. You should have paid more attention to your heritage instead of following the colonialist philosophy. Legba John learned the hard way. Now he thinks he can rid the earth of us. He's a silly old man. She threw her head back and laughed. The high-pitched squeal sounded more like she was screaming. And we have you. Yes, you, my boy. She walked up to the altar and began running her fingers down my chest. We are going to love making you submit. You are stronger than most for sure. Oh, and don't think you being in love with that Yankee girl will help you either. I have waited too long to get hold of you. She had stopped right before it got to my privates and began rubbing gently. Man, I tell you what, I was becoming aroused real fast, but I closed my eyes and tried to will myself not to. She realized what I was doing and dug her fingernails into my flesh. I gasped. Fear and excitement overcame me at the same time. We have been administering one of the strongest potions, so even you can fight your natural desires. Izuli Frida has taught us intricate ways of seduction, so just give in. Let yourself enjoy, because when we are done with you, you will be no good to any living woman. She laughed again, digging her nails deeper into my flesh. I lay stunned, every part of my body throbbing as pain shot up my stomach. Now stop being selfish. These women have suffered long to be here. Be restitution for all the male pigs that have oppressed women over the centuries, the slave owners, the abusive husbands, the high-thinking bourgeois from which you were spawned. Be a sacrifice to all women who have been treated like less than animals. Be a man. Be strong. The smile returned to her face as she removed her hand from my stomach and reached up and caressed my cheeks with the back of her hand. I exhaled as the pain in my stomach subsided. I tried to move my head, but she grabbed it and pulled it round until I was looking at she. Life is too short. Enjoy yourself. There are women out there waiting to perform an orgy of rituals on you. Relax. It's every man's dream to die that way. She looked down at me for a couple of seconds, then turned and slowly walked away. I was so angry, my head felt like it would explode. I watched she walk away. The sun shimmered off her black hair, causing it to glitter with sparkles of dark orange. I thought, oh God, just what I needed, an image of hell moving. I tried to sit up, but the bloody metal restraints dug into my wrist, and after a couple of seconds of pulling, I stopped and laid there, my wrist throbbing. A sense of helplessness came over me as I looked up at the aqua sky. Small puffy clouds floated by. Birds flew by, mocking me with their freedom. The hard surface of the rock was assaulting every bone and muscle in my back, but I tried to make myself numb to the pain by concentrating on the warmth of the sun on me.
Oh, Ian, look at you, chained and shackled, wondering if you're going to live or die. You should have believed, my boy, but you're going to believe now, huh?